And now, as always, it's my pleasure to welcome Raj Ayyar, who's going to speak to us about what are the lower aspects of religion? Why do we keep tumbling off this blissful spiritual cloud? Raj, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you all of us for having me here again. I'll tell you, one of the reasons I've been associated with the UUs with such pleasure and joy, first in person in Brevard County when I was teaching there at BCC, and then now virtually, is that you have been shying away from the slimy mound of lower aspects. Many of the UUs that I know, not only at your congregation, but others as well, are on different kinds of quests. Some of you are dedicated Wiccans. Others are neo-pagans of other kind. Some are Buddhists or Taoists. So the list goes on. And in every case, there seems to be a quest of a sort. And even those who describe themselves as militant atheists, or at least as agnostics, are frequently there because their quest failed. It's a failed quest, a failure of religion to deliver on its promises that's caused them to be so militant in their atheism or their agnosticism. And so I'm pleased to be a part of this congregation, and I'm very, very pleased to welcome each and all of you to my presentation. Well, what are the lower aspects anyway? I mean, for those who got the conducted tour, you know, when I was teaching in Brevard, people who date back to Larry Abdullah's generation at Brevard, they have a fairly clear idea of what the lower aspects were, but a lot of you may not know what I'm referring to. So very quickly, what are the lower aspects of the world's religions? And it's quite amazing that the lower aspects seem to mesh. In other words, there are lower aspects in all faiths, and there doesn't seem to be an exception. And there seems to be a host of family resemblances between those lower aspects, regardless of which religion we pick. So that's another remarkable facet of this whole journey together. And I would say the first lower aspect I'd want to pick, I picked up many, many years ago in my world religions classes, and that is dogma. What do I mean by that? Dogma is the steadfast, unswerving, uncritical addiction to a particular viewpoint, a particular religious viewpoint or viewpoints. It is an unbending attitude which cannot be swayed, which cannot be questioned or criticized. And so it's extremely uncomfortable if you're an open-ended person to be around a dogmatist. But lower aspect religious people are frequently dogmatic. That is perhaps the first thing that smacks you in the face like a wet fish. The second is the marvelous E word, ethnocentrism. Now you might say, well, Raj, ethnocentrism has been around for years. It's a technical term coined by anthropologists, by critical anthropology. And so it doesn't really belong to religion per se or the study of religions. I would beg to disagree there. I would say that anthropology specializes in the study of ethnocentrism, the belief that we are the center of the universe and they, whoever those lost ones might be, are off-center, deviant, stupid, barbaric, all of those pejorative labels that we do not want to associate with ourselves and our gang. So I would say that one of the arenas in which ethnocentrism plays out prominently, one of the arenas that cultural anthropologists would be well advised to examine in great care is the arena of religion. Because it's here, with all our prejudices, with all our hurts, with all our wanting to shoot somebody across the fence, it's here that we tend to be most ethnocentric, like it or not. So, we are the center, they are off-center. We are normal, they are perverted, or at least deviant. We know it all. We have the right language. We have the right religion. Our gods proclaimed us to be the center of the universe. Their gods did nothing for them, and they're gods of an inferior stripe anyway. And they didn't get the right language. They weren't born in the right nation. They weren't of the right skin color. Look at Trump. Look at the Dominionists. Look at all those people who have made it a dogma of saying the others don't belong because they don't have the appropriate skin color credentials or the appropriate nationality credentials. Another facet of this lovely flowering of the lower aspects of religion is Eurocentrism. Eurocentrism. And what do I mean by Eurocentrism? Eurocentrism is the belief that the peddling of European-centric values, especially deserving, other religions need to wake up and learn Eurocentric values. Religion as a tool of colonialism, specifically of Western colonialism. And this has been so sad that we have reduced religion to this kind of limited and shabby packaging. So that's Eurocentrism. And unfortunately, in the last 2 centuries, maybe 3 or 4, the whole world has been, not only the Western world, the whole world has been caught up in the dance of Eurocentrism. I would also tend to argue that underlying all of these is the perverse concept known as religious nationalism. And what do I mean by that? That the nation state is sacred. Someone mentioned the Nazi film on Amazon Prime, but it seems to me that a lot of the power behind Nazism and behind other totalitarian right-wing movements is exactly that. That there is a higher nation state, which happens to be ours, or closely aligned with ours. And it is this nation state, this nationalism, that deserves respect and adoration. So, this idea of religious nationalism, Trump had it. I mean, the entire 4 years before Biden were characterized by this kind of nationalism, the idea that our state is somehow sanctified religiously. To heck with the First Amendment. We don't care about the separation of church and state. We want, in fact, the abridgment or the demolition of the gap between church and state. We don't want that dichotomy. We want the church and the state to be united. We want the church and the state to be partners. We want the church and the state to sing each other dramas and dances and lead tunes. So, now, these are not what I would call a comprehensive laundry list of the lower aspects of the world's religions. They are, in fact, a tongue-tip taste of what such a list may look like. I think the list of lower aspects of the world's religions could go on and on and on. And it's certainly not confined to anything I have said here this evening, my time, or that morning, yours, since I'm sitting here in India and you are in Florida. Any questions?